speaking very candidly, when I was, pitching this idea to the organization here and to a bunch of my buddies in the industry, some of who I'm sure will see this video, I mean, they told me flat out that I was crazy.
Welcome to Rock Stars of Remodeling, a podcast presented by Pro Remodeler Media, where the best and brightest stars in home improvement share actionable insights with like-minded industry standouts like you. I'm your host, Drew Barto. I spent 13 years as the director of marketing for a replacement window and door company in Pittsburgh, where I learned a lot from some of the great minds in the home improvement industry. I aim to bring many of those voices to you on this show to help you gain more leads, close more sales, and boost your bottom line. Let's rock. This episode is being brought to you by ProVia. ProVia produces professional class entry doors, vinyl replacement windows and siding, manufactured stone, and metal roofing. When you partner with ProVia, you get expert installer training, lifetime limited warranties, responsive sales, marketing, and customer service support, and additional tools to help build your business. Visit provia.com to learn more. Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to have on today's show Southwest Exteriors CEO Ryan Shutt. Southwest Exteriors is based in San Antonio and features replacement windows, doors, siding, and concrete floor coatings among its services. But Ryan isn't here to talk about his products. He's here to share with you a form of marketing that he's using to give his company an edge over its competitors in finding new customers online. Ryan, thanks so much for joining me today.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Before we dive into the marketing strategy that you want to share with us today, can you give us a little bit of background on your experience in the home improvement industry and your history at Southwest Exteriors?
Absolutely. So like most kids growing up, right, it was either between like first base for the Kansas City Royals or remodeling. So, the Royals didn't work out. So here I am. So, but no, man. So, started off in the industry. Actually, I ran large call centers, not in the industry at all. So 300-seat call center, taking, calls for everything from televangelists to catalog calls. So it was a broad array of calls. And so from there, I was recruited by Home Depot. They had acquired a small home remodeling company in Kansas City called Jubilee Home Solutions. And so I came in post-acquisition to basically set their call center up. So they were in 4 markets at the time and had plans to grow very, very rapidly. So I was there for a couple months, and then they came to me and said, hey, do you want to take over our field marketing? So since we were all Home Depot employees, we had the opportunity to actually, be in stores and interface with the homeowners, shoppers in the store, and actually generate leads that way. So that was kind of my first introduction into marketing. After the big housing bubble burst and everything kind of collapsed, Home Depot got out of the home services space. They've since gotten back in and out of it a few times. And so I was kind of a casualty of that, but really enjoyed the marketing thing. So I actually went to work for an ad agency in Kansas City for about a year and a half and just really learned direct response marketing. So, I'm not a marketer that's going to come up with a great ad campaign or a great, video or cool print ad. For me, it's all about math and analytics and the science behind marketing. And so the agency I worked for was the direct response agency. And that's all it was. It was learning the science of, if I'm spending this and I'm getting this, what can I tweak and do to increase, my lead volume. Did that for a couple of years and then was recruited by Belden Roofing here in San Antonio. So I moved to San Antonio, was vice president of their Leaf Guard division for marketing. And so we had 14 markets across the U.S. And so great opportunity that those guys gave me. I definitely wasn't ready for that big of a role, but stepped into it and did well. So I was there for about 4.5, almost 5 years. And then met Scott Barr, who's the owner of Southwest Exteriors. And so we just kind of struck up a friendship, a couple lunches, a couple dinners. And then one thing led to another. And he said, hey, we'd love for you to come over and, run our marketing for us. And so it was a bit of a, a step down, if you will. So, Belden at the time was about an $85 million operation.
Oh, wow.
And so in Southwest, it was about 7 or 8 million. And so love the opportunity, though, love the work-life balance and just the culture of the organization. So made that move, was in that seat up until last year as far as marketing director goes. And so our current CEO at the time had a health tragedy. Kind of he was able to survive that and has made it through it, but he's no longer with the organization. So kind of a weird set of circumstances, but it allowed me to step in the CEO role. And so I've been doing that since about last year, and then officially stepped out of the interim role in January of this year into the CEO role for Southwest. So it's been a journey, man, but I'm still heavily involved in the marketing side of things. That's my passion. And so, yeah, it's been a fun journey.
I love being able to talk about direct response marketing with anybody. So
Yes.
I'm excited for our conversation, but it's interesting. We had these conversations about marketing. You've actually cited something that works really well for you that some contractors might not expect, or they might kind of turn away from. They might not think they can do it, but it's content marketing.
Yes.
Can you give us an overview of what content marketing means to you and how you use it to generate high quality leads?
Absolutely, man. So, it's interesting, right? Because obviously being an analytical guy, the content component now really is much more of a kind of almost more of a touchy feeling. I mean, there's a lot of numbers and data behind it. But, in the past, content marketing for me was, hey, let's write 1 or 2 great articles a month, talk about what you're selling, whatever you're selling, mention it as many times as you can. So Windows, mention it as many times as possible, where you sell it at, San Antonio.
Yeah.
That was kind of how you wrote articles, right? And I think, even now, most companies have their digital agencies, doing, 2 articles a month, because that's kind of the best practice, by SEO experts, because you want to stay relevant, and then you look at how in the past I kind of viewed websites, right? And I think a lot of people in our industry still do, which is, the website is simply just a tool to get a user to land on and convert them as quickly as possible into a lead form or a phone call. It's just, that was my mentality, going in. And so I'm 3 years into this journey of understanding what content really is. And so now I view content as both a tool to get people to the website, as far as ranking, very high organically for specific search terms.
Yeah.
And then the unique thing, right, is keeping them on the website and providing them as much information as possible before they actually make their decision. So I think that's kind of the very unique thing that we do that most people don't. So like when you look at our bounce rates and our time spent on site, I mean, those are astronomically higher than what they were in the past. And so, so as opposed to content being written for SEO rankings, now we write content to captivate the audience and, address their concerns. And more importantly, that content has to be unbiased and really not about your company. It's just really giving that homeowner some options in what they should and shouldn't buy. And so that's been the big shift for us too, because obviously, in the past it was, hey, we're the best company out there, we're going to solve all your issues. And now it's really providing them, an approach that is very different to that. But we were averaging about 3,000 visitors to our website per month before implementing this methodology. And now we average 35,000 visitors to our website a month. So, I mean, it's a drastic change. I mean, it's not just, minimal. I mean, it's been a huge increase in traffic to our website over the last, 3 years.
It seems like content marketing feels like a bit of a long game, right?
Right.
It's not, I'm going to put this article up today, I'm going to get, 300 clicks on it right now and sell, 25 jobs.
Yeah.
So you said you started about 3 years ago, and
Yep.
When did you really start to see it pay dividends?
Yeah, so we just entered our 3rd year in April of this year of kind of this, heavy content approach. Honestly, it was a solid year and a half, into, when we started seeing that movement. And, one component I forgot to mention as well is content for us is not just written content, it's also video content. Almost every article that we produce, we're producing a video with that as well that can live on YouTube and also, on our website. For my time in the industry, right, it's, I've done canvassing myself, I've done shows and events myself. And so for me, it's pick your hard, right? I mean, canvassing's hard. It's real hard.
Very hard. Yeah.
Shows and events is hard. And, but the nice thing about that is it's that immediate dopamine hit, right? As far as like, hey, I got to lead now. And so while you still need some of those practices is in place. And again, we no longer do shows and events. We no longer do canvassing. And it wasn't right away. We just didn't stop doing those once we started doing content marketing. It was a transition in time of going, hey, when do we no longer actually need this ancillary lead source?
I love that, because that's a good tip though. Like, hey, don't go cold. If you're not doing content marketing today, don't go cold turkey and just stop doing everything else and go to content, but start doing content marketing while you transition away from some other things that might not be as fruitful as content marketing will be in the future.
Absolutely.
Now, you've mentioned, and I've heard this from a few sources in the industry, that your content marketing approach is guided by Marcus Sheridan's book, They Ask, You Answer. What's the premise of this book, and how are you modeling your marketing efforts off of this content?
Yeah, so the premise of the book, and again, I mean, just speaking very candidly, when I was, pitching this idea to the organization here and to a bunch of my buddies in the industry, some of who I'm sure will see this video, I mean, they told me flat out that I was crazy. They're like, you cannot be answering homeowners' questions on your website. They're never going to convert. But, really what the book addresses is, how buyers have changed and the way that homeowners want to buy, shop, and make decisions about improving their home. If you look at now versus, pre-pandemic and whatnot, people are more price conscious. They want to know all the options available. They're doing more research. They're less patient. And, the part that's is what it is. They're less trusting of salespeople. Yeah. Right. And so, it's really on us as business leaders to go, hey, how can we change with the buyer? Right. I mean, we can't force the market. I mean, the market's going to change and we have to change with it. Today's buyer and the buying process is really built on trust. They Ask, You Answer is at its core really about that, right? It's this obsession with thinking how the homeowner is going to buy, how they're going to shop. I'm a firm believer, and again, I will alienate some of your listeners with this comment, but people don't want to buy from a stranger knocking on the door. They don't want to be interrupted at the farmer's market, asking if they want to buy windows. And again, I know a lot of guys and gals listening to this phone call or this podcast still do it, and they have great success. And I'm not saying that it doesn't work. I'm just saying that there's going to be a shift at some point in time that I firmly believe, and homeowners aren't going to want to consume that way. And so for me, I want to be where they're going.
So you research and you find out what homeowners are asking online, and you kind of formulate your content based on those questions that people are at, the common questions, right? Is that how you approach it?
Yeah. When you are searching for, let's say, window replacement in San Antonio, you'll notice down below that is Google will start recommending some other options for you as far as like, hey, how much do windows cost and whatnot. So there's some great tools out there that actually tell you what other searches are going in, correlation with some of those bigger keyword searches. And so, we write the articles based on what Google tells us. We also sit down every month with our sales team and ask them, hey, what are you hearing in the home? What are you guys needing? I mean, that's, in our industry, so often marketing and sales are siloed. It's just simply marketing going, hey, we're creating this, or we're generating leads this way. Here's your lead, go sell it. And so it's a very different approach from us as far as, partnering with the sales team and going, hey, what do you guys truly need from us, in order to generate great quality leads?
The comment you made before I asked that last question about how you might alienate some of my my audience with what you're going to say. I do see, though, there is a shift in how they buy and how they take in content and what they want from a salesman. And I think if you're sitting there push and not giving them answers, kind of trying to trick them or giving them gimmicks, I don't know if that's going to work for that homeowner.
Yeah. And so, so often in our industry, I mean, man, all my training, the way that I was brought up in this space was, hey, you have to create the fear, for the homeowner as far as, hey, if you don't replace your windows now, this is the tragedy that's going to happen to your home. Or if you don't, update your bathroom now, this is what's going to happen. And so selling on the fear of not purchasing is, for me, it's kind of antiquated. And so for us, by using They Ask You Answer, it's really calming their fear of the purchasing process. Go online, right? I mean, anything you do about home remodeling, I mean, there's horror story after horror story, and homeowners are ultimately very scared, and they don't know where to go. They don't know who to trust. And so that's really our desire, is to calm them in their process of buying and not create more fear, not create more angst, as opposed to what we typically see, which is, you have to create the need or the fear in order for the homeowner to actually buy. So it's been a huge shift for us, not only from a marketing standpoint, but also when we actually go into the home itself and look to close those deals.
That's a great point. I've always said that there's so many different forms of marketing. Any form of marketing can work. It's all hard.
Yeah.
What hard do you choose? So I love that you brought that up. And so before we go, this has been a great episode already, Ryan. There's a lot of great information here. Let's talk about transparency in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've heard from you in the past that you're a proponent of, telling prospects exactly what to expect from your company and maybe even from your competitors when it comes to processes and pricing. How do you do this, and how's it benefited your business? And do you ever worry about being too transparent?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, being too transparent was the biggest fear out of the gate, right? Is, hey, because we're unapologetically, we're not the cheapest in the market, and that's okay. And so it's very easy for, the guys that are much more focused on 8 windows for $38.95 to sell against us, right? Because you're not getting 8 windows for anywhere near that price, from us. And so the transparency was a huge fear initially, really, overcoming that fear and leaning into it. So, so often you go to a website and you got to look for a blog, right? And I think blog is also a very antiquated term as well. So if you go to our website, you'll see what we call our learning center. And so just a very different approach. And it really allows the homeowner to navigate through and find anything they want to. And so, I mean, obviously, the pricing is the biggest, untouchable thing we never talk about in our industry, right? Is homeowner calls into the call center, your reps are trained to, sidestep all the judo moves to avoid that question. And, their only goal is to set the appointment. And so now, while we won't necessarily quote price over the phone, you will see. So right after we set an appointment, we'll send out a video to the homeowner, one-to-one video from the actual call center rep. And the very first article that you'll see is, what can I expect to pay for my window pricing? And so we're very open about it. And so what we've seen is a higher average sale, higher close rate. And, but it was a big hill to overcome from a fear standpoint initially. I mean, it was very scary, but, it's going to taking that approach of, how do we obsess about what our clients actually want versus what we think they need? Yeah, it was a lot, but it's definitely benefited us. I mean, it's fun to walk into homeowners' homes now and hear stories about how they have our articles printed off, highlighted in questions and whatnot. So I mean, it's definitely working.
This transparency you have creates some trust, doesn't it? Already with the homeowner.
Absolutely. Our top rated article for windows is, if you search, anybody on the, listening to the podcast can search for window replacement San Antonio, and you'll see we rank typically in the top 4. And our top rated article is the top 6 window replacement companies in San Antonio. And guess what? We're not one of the 6 listed. Right.
Wow.
And so that's our top performing article. And the reason why is I don't have to be, right. They're already on my website. I'm creating trust with them. And we have the most and the best reviews of anybody else in our marketplace. So it's okay. And that is by far our top performing article is bringing us the most leads.
Wow, that is bold. Don't even include yourself in the list. Ryan, I love it. I love it.
Yep.
Well, Ryan Shutt, everyone, CEO of Southwest Exteriors in San Antonio. Ryan, thank you for sharing this amazing marketing strategy with us. And I really appreciate your time today.
Anytime, Drew. Appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to Rock Stars of Remodeling. As promised, there were some amazing takeaways that you can use to build a better business for yourself, your employees, and your customers. If you've got an idea for a future episode or a guest I should invite on the show, I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to follow Rock Stars of Remodeling on Spotify or SoundCloud and click the like button on this episode. Until next time, rock on.